Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley. I write Wannabe Wisdoms, Diaries of a Fake Guru. So let's get into notes a little bit. Understanding the notes feed. This is the social layer of Substack. Get to the notes feed, simply click your little profile again and go to either activity or explore. We're going to go to activity. So this is what my followers and people I follow are up to right now. It's similar layout to what you would see in Twitter, X, or Facebook. There's one difference though. Visibility comes from participation in your engagement, not ads. So your feed shows posts from publications you follow, notes from writers that you've interacted with, recommendations based on what you engage with. I can click between what's for me being suggested for me that I might not necessarily follow, but Substack thinks I might want to see it, and then who I'm following and what they're publishing. So it's just a nice little thing you can toggle between for you and following. Notes is where relationships start. I just want to make an important distinction between posts and notes for you. New Substackers often get confused with this, but this is really important. So posts are your long form writing. They're your essays, your newsletter, the work emailed to your subscribers. Notes are short form. Think sticky notes, not essays. If it's a really reflective or layered piece of writing that's longer, it's probably a post. And I have a little rule of thumb for myself that a note is typically 3 to 10 lines max for notes. I do see some people posting really long notes, and sometimes it works. But if a note is getting really long, in my mind, I think, why not just make it a post? Notes works best as breadcrumbs, these small human moments that lead people back to your deeper work. But let's look at writing your first note. Low stakes and on purpose. So let's just open that little window. What's on your mind? So ask yourself, what's on your mind right now? And for example, a perfectly acceptable first note might be, I'm new here on Substack and I'm already feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome. Anyone else? That's it. A one note a day is plenty. Eventually you might work your way up to 3 notes a day. I now personally love writing notes. I usually write notes in the morning. I get really inspired by other people's notes that I see and I riff on them. I'll show you, if you go to my profile, you can see all of my notes here. This morning I wrote one about filming. I filmed my first digital product. I'm talking about this. I already filmed it once, but then I realized there was a section I wanted to add, so I'm refilming again today. And I had to laugh because it's the blank canvas moment, it's like turning into aerobic exercise. So I just gave myself a pep talk. Let's get it done. Here's one. Notes are just thinking out loud in public and realizing you're not the only one having that thought. You can post notes with photos. Photos do really well with notes. Here's one I wrote. Consistency beats inspiration. Imagine if we only brushed our teeth when we're inspired. I do every once in a while a little intro note because your notes get shown to new potential readers and followers, people who don't know you. So it's good to reintroduce yourself every once in a while. One small tip as well. I usually restack my notes about 10 hours, 12 hours later after posting them because it gives your notes a new life. And what a restack is, see this little wheel right here? You push it and you can restack. And if you just restack it like that and it gets sent out to all the people on your notes algorithm. And if you want to write a note, you restack with a note and then it'll tag it and you can write a note and send it out. So I like to think of notes as like a town square, and I didn't come up with that. That was actually the editorial lead from Substack, Rhonda, said, think of notes as a town square where writers, readers, and ideas mingle. It's a good thing to stop thinking about notes as a platform and more like a place. So what does that mean? It means that replies matter more than just liking people's posts. It means engagement matters more than being really polished. Just like engage with people. Don't worry about perfecting your responses or your posts. It means that showing up matters more than being performative. How I actually use notes and why less is more. Note if notes looks familiar to you, because it looks like every other social media platform, yeah, it behaves a little bit like social media. And understandably, that makes a lot of writers nervous, myself included, because a lot of us came to Substack to escape the algorithm pressure and the constant performance of other platforms. I personally made 250 videos on Instagram last year and it burnt me out. So, yeah, I feel very resistant to the same kind of social media, and there has been some criticism on Substack about that. But it does feel different. And for me, notes works best when it's intentional. I use it pretty much in three ways. I share the essence of something that I've written, or I restack work from writers who have moved me. I share my stories, my opinions, my thoughts that express the way I think. I like to think, notes are like the gateway thoughts to my essays. And if you like my notes, it probably means you'll enjoy my thoughts. And if you enjoy my thoughts, you'll probably love my essays. That's it. I don't treat notes like a performance space. Sometimes, you fall into that trap and it's like, who am I performing for? What am I trying to say here? What's my natural voice? I'm constantly asking myself, like, what am I really trying to say? I treat it like a lunchroom or a coffee break. It's like it's a place for real connection. I actually wrote a post literally about like everyone being our colleagues and that we were just in the lunchroom having a break. I say, coffee break, you're my colleague now. I just caught your eye in the kitchen while we both pretend this isn't our third cup. How are you? How's life? How's Substack? Kids, partner, dating world, the new hobby still hanging in there? How's work? What's cooking? Me? I'm good, focused-ish. All right, back to it. Let's reconvene around 3 when the caffeine wears off. Bye. Just like silly stuff like that. And I had 8 people engage and we had this little like mock believe coffee room chat. It was really nice. 3 helpful questions you can ask yourself when you're writing a note is, what do I want to say that adds value? And value can be interpreted so many different ways. Like value can be literally value, a tool, an insight, but it also can be humor, a joke, lighten up the day. The other thing I ask myself is, how can I frame this as a mini story? And look for examples on my profile. I have one right here. Here's one. A CEO for a large company once told me he never uses parentheses in writing. It sounds more authoritative, he says. For a while, I tried that. Then I realized, thank God, I love parentheses. They're how my brain actually speaks, full of side notes, tangents, and tiny thoughts that slip in. I must say, humor lives in those ditches. Authority's overrated. Your natural voice isn't. So that one had a little bit of a story. It situated you in an environment with another person. So it doesn't have to be an elaborate story, just a little story that takes them into a world. The other thing I ask myself is, how can I make this undeniably mine? How can I add my sense of humor, my punctuation, my word choice? Like, word choice indicates so much of who you are. Are you someone who drops an F-bomb? Are you someone who writes in parentheses like I do? Are you someone who uses a lot of ... Are you someone who uses the word heck? Heck, friends. I like heck. So yeah, just think about that. And you'll get better and better at finding that natural writing voice. The other thing I ask myself is, can I make this short and easy to read? Formatting is important. White space, paragraphs break. Sometimes when I write a note, it feels like I'm writing poetry. So you could think of it like that. I'm quite a long-winded person, so if my notes get kind of long. So yeah, scroll through my profile, get a sense of the types of notes. You might have community notes where you're calling people in to join in a conversation. You might have motivational notes where you're giving an insight, or these mini stories where you're inviting them into a world, a story. So in a nutshell, notes supports your publication instead of distracting from it. That's when they work the best. If you want to go further, if you're really like, oh, what is this notes? I want to understand this more. Read an essay I published in December. It was a collaborative interview with Claudia Faith, who you must follow. She has an incredible newsletter called Wanderlust about building a Substack newsletter. And the article we wrote is The Art of the Substack Note in 2026. That article is full of small shifts that change the way you think about writing notes, and it opens the door to more creativity and growth. So friends, we are ready to write our first post. Writing your first post, your first essay. So we're going to click the big, on my page it's pink, but usually this will be a big orange button. And if you go back to the main page, home, it's orange. See this big orange button? So let's click it. You have 4 options: note, post, video, live. You're going to click post. You'll see a text editor here with space for a title, a subtitle, clean writing area. I usually place a feature image right at the top if I'm going to add an image. And the way you do that is you click, see this little insert image? You click image, you can go to stock photos, and then I go to my photos. And yeah, I take a lot of selfies. I just got my hair did. So yeah, you pick an image. Great. Me and my dog. He's sniffing my armpit. Great photo. If you use anyone else's image, please credit it. And there's a great way to do that. Click your photo, the 3 dots in the right-hand corner. You can add edit caption, and then it gives you the opportunity to write a little caption down there. Formatting your stories. Okay, so let's start writing. Once upon a time. Riveting. Let's make that a little longer. There was a dog. Big dog down. I'm just making stuff up. So here we go. We're going to design this with text. See here, if I wanted big dog down to be my title, you have all these options. Here's your largest subtitle, big dog down, number 1, but you can make it 3, you can make it smaller. Heading 2 is a great one. So say you do that. Or you can do normal text, blah, 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 blah. That's your normal text. You can highlight it if it wasn't normal text and bring it to normal text. You can bold it. You can italicize it. There's even opportunities for coding. Code block. I don't do this, so if you want to share code with your subscribers, you could write it in there. You can add hyperlinks. I use a lot of hyperlinks. So what you do is you highlight what you want to hyperlink, and then you link it here, and you copy and paste your link into there. Voila. You can upload images. You can do stock images. Say you want to do a stock image. Go image, stock photos here. I actually haven't explored this as much. I've always put my own images, but this is wonderful. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, I'm totally going to use that more. If you want to insert audio, you click this little voiceover, or you can upload an audio that you already have pre-recorded. I often do that. I'll record it to my phone and then I put it in, or you can do a voiceover right here. Record your audio right here. Just gives you a little bit of space on each side. Button tools, these are really important. After you've done writing your essay, I recommend going through, hitting the button, and then adding some subscribe buttons, adding some share post buttons. You got to remind your readers what you want them to do. Leave comments. These are great buttons. And if you do share with a caption, it'll show up like this. It suggests what the copy can be, but it can be, you can rewrite it. So lovely to see you, friend. Become a paid subscriber. These tools are meant to be used both practically and playfully. Formatting isn't just functional. In my opinion, it's a part of your voice. And online, readers typically don't read every word. Some do. I do, mostly. But we also scan a lot. You want to write for the internet audience. Make it an experience. And you can scroll through any of my essays and it'll really give you a sense of that. So if you look at my posts here, what's one? Some of them have more formatting than others, but let's just see. So I have an image that helps. I have little emojis. I bold text. I added notes. I bold a lot of text. Here's a poll. Here's some pull-out quotes. More images. Yeah, so just get a feel for it. I bold a lot. I use the divider, you can see here. Yeah, you'll get a feel for what feels good for your voice. We are ready to publish it. But before we publish it, we want to preview it just to make sure there's not any last mistakes. We're going to close that little window. You're going to come to the right top preview button, click it. And so here you can see what your essay looks like. And you can see what your free subscribers will see at the end of it. Keep reading with a 7-day free trial. And you can switch between the paid subscriber view. If you just move this window down, you can toggle between mobile, desktop version. So this is what you see on your desktop, and then email. This is what people will receive in their email. So pretty cool. You can also click the share button here and then send it to yourself in an email. And then you'll get a test sent to your email. So you can just really double check spelling, go through it, make sure it's all in line. And then if you're like, yep, it's ready to go, you will press the continue button, and you have options here before you send it out. So you can choose what audience it goes to. If this one is for everyone, click everyone. So this one says your paywall, because it noticed you put a paywall and it will be removed because this is going to free subscribers. So you can say confirm change. You can send it to just free subscribers, just paid subscribers. You can allow comments from either everyone or just paid subscribers, or disable comments altogether. And it's ready to go. So it is ready to send out to everyone. You hit that right hand button in the right bottom corner to send it out to everyone right now, or you can schedule it at a time. You just schedule it here and it will be ready to go. So a little note on restacking and exactly what it is. So restacking, I showed you a little bit with restacking your notes posts. Like I said, that little wheel that you can turn. If you want to restack your essays, you go to an essay at the very bottom of your essay. If you scroll down, you'll see that same little wheel right here. And you can restack with a note to your notes, but that's all restacking is. It is ultimately sharing. And you can restack other people's notes as well, posts you love. It's just as if you're saying, this really mattered to me. So start today, write your first post, publish it, and then share it as a note. Just a little final note on self-promotion. I'm really a big believer in promoting your work. You need to promote your work like a sociopath if you're an empath. If you're an actual sociopath, maybe you need to be more of an empath. So I say this with love. We're all deep feeling empaths here. That's our gift. But it also means we tend to share our work once and then immediately apologize for existing. So let me just step in as your unofficial publicist for a moment. Please fire it off. Restack your own essays more than once. Yes, even once a day. And we actually want the reminder to read your work. And if sharing makes you feel like you're standing under a literal spotlight, that's the spotlight effect. It's this sneaky cognitive bias that convinces us that everyone is watching us, when in reality, they're busy folding their own laundry and forgetting their own passwords. No one is judging you. I mean, maybe people are judging you a little bit, but that's part of the rite of passage of being a creator or writer. And if they are judging you, it's like for a second, and then they go on in their life. And we build that thicker skin by just getting over that. And those that are with us on our journey, they're grateful that you reminded them. So again, from your unofficial publicist, restack that essay, share your work, because how else are we supposed to find it?